Hello, this is the branch vlog for 0.2.1.7, the door transition one, well, door and stair transition one. Usual process, I go through the bugs and then I just go through everything else. It's a relatively short one, fortunately, so I can jump straight into overhauling some other bits on the next branches. So, right, there was a historic bug that there was a I've got thumbnails here. If I just show you one quickly. Version 3, background. There's loads of placeholders for when I fill it in Photoshop. Too far, somewhere around here. It might only take a couple of seconds. Oh, that's the bullet, so it should be just below it. There we go, there wasn't originally a thumbnail for map, it was just invisible. So, yeah, just really old. You can tell by the number. We're working in the 700s now, and this is 200, so maybe June time. So that one's just ticked it off. I need to increase jump variable for times to scale. Yes, John, the main character, he is no longer half scale. He is now full scale because the world since the previous branch is now full scale. It was a long branch, the last one. But obviously, if you're twice the size, the jump logic is almost, it's like it's inbuilt into Unreal, because I did very little jump logic, to be quite honest with you. Like, if you look at this jump stuff now, you'll see I put a delay in it. You see I've got it where it eats it eats stamina, and you can only jump if you've only got so much stamina. I have tweaked it. That used to eat 15 and you needed to have 30 remaining. Now it eats 10 and you need 10 remaining, so you can jump more and it's less tiresome. But yeah, things like jump, stop jumping, that's inbuilt. That wasn't any of my doing. But I noticed here there's some variables here. This one, jump max hold time, was at 0. So essentially it looked like a little toddler was jumping. And I played around with it. If you put it to 1, it's like he goes to space. If you hold the space bar, it's almost like a floating up. But I know, sorry, it's a bit dark. I've been playing with the lighting. But if you look at his feet, it's just about right. Because if I get him to run, maybe I might need to play around with the airtime sort of thing. That's essentially an airtime variable. But that's what I've done for that one. Right, so fixed items and thumbnails. Yes, bit of an issue. They're all versioned. I fixed it, by the way. I fixed this problem. In the last branch, in a couple of branches, I said I couldn't open textures. It was being weird. If you all know, I fixed it. I saved an old layout from here, and I did a very little difference between that layout I had and this layout, so I just loaded up an old one where this was available. So, right, this is version 2. You could see by look at all that 70 by 70 is tiny, 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 and then I'll get version 3 up. Let's get the background one. So there you go. Slight changes, but the issue being, I was being a bit clever. Rather than having to do each item like you see I've done with the other items, with the thumbnails and the collect items, so these ones, I bundled them into one mega Photoshop, and then I get it to extract the sprites 140 by 140 squares. So 1, 2 is like 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, blah 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 blah, and that's how we get all these. And then the no background ones, it's the same. It's the same thing, except from I've just got all those little squares you saw. Those like it's not embossed. It's more like it's got a bezel on it or something, hasn't it? You know that to give it that sort of like button look. I just took that off. And then we have the no background ones. That's not a feature at the moment. It will be a feature where you can toggle off the backgrounds in your inventory, because your inventory is going to have a grey background. It's not going to be checkered like this, so you're going to be able to read it pretty well. So you might not want the coloured background like these on everything. Um, but yeah, I did that for the thumbnails. But then if I go to um, asset items, interact, collect all collectibles, you will see it's the same Photoshop PSD. Originally it was PSB, but I shrank it. Yeah, but then the text is off, isn't it? And then that's the diffuse, and then the normals, or these probably won't be perfect. They don't actually look like this. This is Unreal doing its unrealness, and having to like flip green because Unreal sees it back to front because it's a DirectX way of like reading normals rather than like an open, I think an open GL or something like that. So that's why it's flipped there, flip green. If you don't flip it, then your lights will be dark and your darks will be light. Well, your top will be down and your top will be bottom and your bottom will be top. So YouTube videos, you've probably already found this issue if you're already looking at normal maps with Unreal. So that's why I flip it. But the normal maps, the diffuse, the thumbnails no background, the thumbnails background, all are from one um, Photoshop. Originally version 2, then version 3. Unlike the other items where I create like a version 2 of them. So you see like we've got interact collect, we've got desktop, we've got version 1, then we've got version 2. They take up loads of space, and it is like proper unnecessary space. I'm never going to go back to version 2 in collectible items, so I had to delete everything. But if you delete everything, you can lose the references. So I faffed about with that, and then the file size got too big originally because I made the height of the height, or in like real people speak, the length of the Photoshop file too long, so it went over 100 meg. And then there was like I had to use like git LFS for like large file storage, which I've already got anyway. I already pay for it every month, but it was a faff about. And then I had to mess around with the branches in GitHub Desktop and merge some stuff and uncommit it and all that drama, and I had to redo these. You will see that the items, not all of them have been properly populated, they haven't been resized. That's because I just wanted to get the thumbnails and items working, because we see further up on this branch I'm moving everything to data assets from the data table. Not a lot of these items in the blueprints use a data table, but I'm also going to take advantage of that time to also move the whole process, overhaul the whole process of the items, or at least as much as feasible without me breaking everything. So that's why the items are there. It's fixed visually on the assets, but it's not. It looks a bit jarring on the actual implementation of the collectibles. I just haven't updated the references essentially. What else? Placement, shower placement. Yes. Let's pick a bathroom. Just to do with the placement, it was just a little bit off. If I play it, it's still a little bit off. Apologies for this. It looks weird because it's just the way it loads. I haven't got it clean and slick yet. But see, the placement's a little bit off. It still looks weird on perspective, depending on how you're looking at it. If you look at it, the shower now, you look at that, it's almost like a fish bowl, sort of like fish lens. So I'm playing with that. See, that looks cool, doesn't it? Yeah. So you see, There's some talent there. With your square toilet that looks like a tray. Um, huh. That light switch isn't moving. That was sorted before. Very odd, annoying. But yeah, just played around with that, and then the UV maps for the bathrooms. Originally there was I created like a line border, but it was overlapping, and the floor was kind of coming into the wall was kind of coming into the floor. You know, right now if you look at it, you're like, oh cool, oh, it's the floor, it's the walls, but the walls were coming into the floor, and it didn't look right. So I had to do all the doodads, all the normal maps and diffuse maps for that in Photoshop. Luckily, it was a Photoshop job. I didn't go into Blender and redo the seams. It was a Photoshop issue. Blender will be a version 2 of Blender, which will ultimately be a version 4, like the fully like finished article of all the static object worlds, like diorama things. But that's later in the game. I'm moving to Act 1 in the new year. So yeah, in year 3 I'm moving to Act 1 and onwards because I'm still in the prologue. So I've done that. Sequences, historic. You could tell it's like a historic one there. I already upgraded it. I must just not knocked it off. Uh, Stair transition. Yes, let me show you the stair transition. The level will load dark, but the transition you will see it. So pay attention to the not only the stairs but the like static mesh borders. Oh, he's put me as far away right as possible. Oh my god. Yeah, I got around him this time. That the writing on the back is because believe you need to cook it, or you need to you need to overhaul the lighting. Otherwise, it just puts like I don't know, like test or viewing or whatever it's writing on the wall. I need to fix that little thing on the floor. You see, better than it was originally. It was a static 2D thing. So it's getting there. It's quick. You can tell it's quick. The camera has barely had any, like the camera's traction for how it moves up and down, and like I think like the aperture, like the lens has had a little overhaul, but it's very much. I've just put in a static mesh for the stairs, the barriers, tweak the aperture to be a bit wider lens, and yeah, just go up. You can very much tell it's a version 1, but the key thing is it's a massive improvement from the 2D sprite one that was just like a placeholder. So version 2s are refactoring. I believe I've got it somewhere. Version 1 is get it working. Version 2 refactor. Version 3 almost there but not polished. Version 4 done. Any changes to version 4 won't be to make it polished, it'll be to just expand upon it. So, if you change the gun, you're not overhauling all the guns, you're putting in a new gun sort of thing. If you're doing sprites on the character holding a new gun. So it's version 2, so it's been refactored at this stage. Added in the light, added in the barriers, added in the static mesh. I did talk about doing dynamic lights and dynamic static mesh. Maybe I'd think about it. It's a lot of work, and it's a lot of work to do now for me to then overhaul it to the non-polished version 3 and then overhaul it to the version 4 polish. So it's still there. It's still on the issues like issue/tasks list there, but it's a later date. Sprites to lower hallway. Actually, lower hallway, hallway lower and hallway upper. Actually, yeah, just popped in these. So there you go. Just give it a bit of life. I also noticed cast a shadow. Let me show you something. You cast shadow with blueprints and things like that. You can do it, but with sprites, I can't go into sprite here, search for cast and cast a shadow. No, I've got to put it into the game world, then select the sprites. So in all the levels, the newer sprites, which are almost all of them, because remember I had to overhaul it in the last branch, I was just doing select all. I typed in sprite, select all, and then just doing cast a shadow. That was often it was the indeterminate sort of a line rather than a tick because some were cast and some weren't. Lights are getting an overhaul. This is just so it's just viable for me to actually see what on earth is going on. Oh, he's not very pretty. Rough day. Yeah, so I should really put hallway upper and lower. And tidy levels folder. Yes, you will see that all the transitions are put in here. I had a brainwave for this one. No idea. I cannot remember for the life of me why I put it there. So I've kept it there for when I remember. So transitions are in there, level transitions. Test levels are in there, hallways are in there. It was fun because it broke half the doors here. So I had to do that. I typed in door, selected them all, and then did a drop down for what level I wanted it to point to. Didn't break all of them, annoyingly. Didn't break the master, the parent, broke some of them. So I'm guessing it broke the ones where I changed it in here rather than it, so it broke the constant reference to the parent. So when the parent got updated to the new location of the transitions folder and then door transition level, the child, let's say this one was broken, that was null. I'm presuming because I'd already changed it and then it broke the reference, so then it didn't update automatically. It wasn't the end of the world, it just loaded you up to nothingness. So that's that. That's this branch. Quick one. I run through the others. So yeah, when I first made it, there was an enhanced input just created, and I was like, oh, this looks tricky. I'm just gonna do the input stuff. Loads of the YouTube tutorials I was working on, because enhanced input was brand new, but input had been around since what, 3, 4. Bit of background: I started working on Unreal when it was UDK back in uni many years ago. Liked it. It's very different to what it was to what it is now. Did a little bit of 4, but I was on the tail end of 4 before the upgrade to 5. Upgrading it to 5 was fun. This without breaking everything, but I did that as well. I think it was last year or half a year ago. So I've some familiarity with it, but I was very rusty coming in, starting this off a couple of years ago. So I'm gonna finally move it to enhanced input. That'll probably break 14,000 things and everything I've set up in the character, the way it works with all this stuff here. There we go. Input, input, input. I don't know if it's gonna. I don't know what I don't know at this point in time, so we're gonna see. Uh, yes, the Paper ZD after there is an awful lot of Paper ZD's had a few updates and it's a great piece of kit, but I couldn't do some form of inheritance where I make like a master enemy Paper ZD, like a Z blueprint, and then I do children of it. No, I had to copy and paste it, and I had to essentially copy and paste everything uniquely, breaking so there's no references to the master, the original, for the animation source, the animation blueprint, and yeah, I'm getting that to link to the actual blueprint like this one. So it was a bit choppy, and I thought there must be a way, but maybe there wasn't at that point in time. It was another mega branch when I was finally creating all the NPCs and enemies, and like the version ones of them. So there's been a few updates since. Hopefully I can overhaul it to some sort of parent master. If not, then it still needs an overhaul anyway, because I did like 40 of them. I did like 40 of them flat back to back, drawing them, blueprint, drawing them, blueprint, drawing them, blueprint, with all the animation sources, so that it needs some love. Migration, we've already talked about the migration. It should be really good as well, because right now it's working off a lot of the items info comes from a struct, and if you tweak a struct, it's like Russian roulette. It might wipe all your variables you've updated since. So you create the struct, and then you go, okay, so variable 1 equals 10. You update the struct with 5 new variables. That variable that you said equals 10 might be equals 0, or might be equals null, or nothing. It's just been defaulted to, like, it's been born again essentially. The data assets should also get around that issue, because I've had that 3 times. My own doing, but I've had that 3 times. So every single item you saw, I've had to go through it like 3-4 times each one. That's why they're a bit disparate and a bit choppy, and not like items that are perfect yet with the information on them. Persistent stuff, yes, persistent levels. So store, I've said this before, so I'll just blast through it. Storage is persistent. It goes to the game instance, goes to the save, loads from the save, feeds it into the game instance, goes back into the storage. If you've been in a level, it's got an ID of that storage in that level for each storage. So you could have duplicates, like 2 bedroom dresses, for example, identical, but they'd have a unique ID. So if you've opened up dresser 1 but not dresser 2, you leave the room, you come back 10 days later, it still knows you've opened dresser 1, not dresser 2. So dresser 2 still has an RNG loop. Dresser 1 is static because you've already opened it. It's Schrodinger's cat thing, isn't it? I don't know. You know what's in the box in the left one. You don't know what's in the right one. So storage works, great. Inventory works, great. NPCs and enemies just despawn, come back, kill them, they'll despawn, you come back, they're back. In out level. I want it to just be like real life. You kill an enemy, he's gone. If an enemy is to the left side of the room, sorry, I need to keep clearing my throat. If an enemy's to the left side of the room, you enter, you come back in, you leave, you come back in 2 seconds later, he's probably still going to be near the left side of the room. He's not going to be back to his original starting position. So yeah, that for enemies and NPCs. Right, sorry, I'll turn the mute camera thing off so I could cough. Levels. Levels, it's to do with items outside of the storage, but inside the level. I need to think that through. And also it's to do with lights. So you turn lights off. I don't know. I've always liked it when games, you've turned the light off, you've gone away, you've come back, and the light's still off. Like it hasn't magically turned back on. I really like that sort of, like, it's almost like meta gameplay. And then yeah, year 2 ends on the last day of March. Year 3 starts on the first day of April. Like financial years, it just kind of fell that way. So year 3 is getting straight into Act 1. New horizons, new stuff, new levels, new ideas, new drawings, brainwave stuff, finally unlocking the next stage. But before that, I want to recreate the missions I had, but get a nice little fun little loop there. Nothing fancy, but enough to be like, oh, that's cool. Like, oh, it's functional, oh, it's a bit cool. Same with crafting. Like, right now I've only got food, but Resident Evil 3 with its bullet crafting, that was not expected when that first came out. My God, that was well cool. And it's like, what on earth do I mix with what to get what? Oh no, I've just made big bullets. Rather, I wanted to make Magnum. So stuff like that. Play around with that. You can see I've done more of the items now, so I can finally start. A lot of those items are crafting, so I can finally start fleshing out the recipes. So that, and then action is, I've already got localized damage. So legs, torso, head. I want to just get it a bit more fun, get it a bit more fun, a bit more tense. I've got all the building blocks. I just want to put a version 1 together. As we know, version 1 is getting it running. We'll refactor it at a further date. We'll polish it closer, much into the future. But yeah, that's that. Thank you for your time. I say it's not going to be a long one. It's relatively short compared to the last one and my usual ones. I'll try to get them around about half an hour unless they're like mega branches, like that thing. But yeah, thank you for your time. You should expect this done. The next branch you'll hear from me, like a branch vlog update, will be week and a half's time, maybe like 10 days, 10 human days, not working days, and then yeah, I might do some bug videos if I've got the time, but you know, it's Christmas time and all that sort of stuff, happening. So you might just see like a branch vlog. I will at some point start fleshing out feature live code things, like you saw me fix bugs live. I want to do that with features. I think that'll be really helpful. My just like I guess like an epilogue or something. My channel isn't so much about, hey, follow these 25 steps and you can make this level. My channel is more showing the development of the game, but also getting people's creative juices flowing, getting them thinking. So when I say like features, you can probably follow me to create it, but the idea is to inspire you rather than you. Sorry about that. My microphone has, well, my headset has a sense of humor. It's completely not out of power. It just thought it wasn't being used, which is just ridiculous. But yes, I believe I was saying just about the features. So you can follow me one for one, but that's not the purpose. The purpose of it is to get you think, oh cool, I can do something like that, because I don't want you to make something identical to what I've made, and then in 3 years' time I'm like, oh, that was a trash idea. That was a terrible idea. And then you've already made it, and then you don't know any better. This is just supposed to be like a collaborative, let's get the community thinking. So thank you for your time. I'm going to figure out what on earth is going on with this microphone silly thing. And yeah, I'll see you in about 10 days. Bye bye.